This is Brian Young, Super Bowl champ, 49er. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by Gridiron Mo. Gridiron Mo is a new interactive football app that lets you call what you think an offense or defense will do in a live NFL game and compete against others around the country. Want to see if you know more than the coach? Give it a try at gridironmo.com or thegruelingtruth.net. I'm your host for the 49ers Weekly Show, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49ers running back, Dexter Carter. How are we doing today?
Hey, good talking to you. Hey, doing awesome. Good talking to you, Matt.
Excellent. Yeah, another tough week. This was about as rough as it got. But before we get to the debacle that was the Bears game and to the upcoming Jets game, another piece of sad news out of the Bay Area. Former 49ers defensive end and one of your teammates, Larry Roberts, passed away on Monday, I believe.
Yeah, what a week for the NFL and former players, with Joe McKnight, and then, of course, Larry, our own 49er, sad situation, about both cases. But Larry, obviously was a little more personal, had a chance to play with him, a great guy, defensive end, worked very hard, and just unfortunately battled some medical issues over the years that probably is what ended up, unfortunately having a lot to do with, his passing.
Yeah, from what I understand of it, had diabetes, and it caused a lot of problems for him, and he went through a lot of depression. I know Ronnie Lott was trying to help him out with a lot of his medical bills, and he passed away in his sleep on Monday. So it's a very, very sad story. I know,
absolutely,
like you said, it was personal for you as well. What I remember Larry Roberts. He played in the mid to late '80s through the early '90s. Like you said, defensive end. My two biggest memories of him. One of them was in 1989. This was the record. Probably one of the best Niner teams of the franchise's history, the 14-2 year, the repeat season. They're facing Green Bay in San Francisco, and they called him for a very bizarre offsides penalty because Chet Brooks had intercepted Don Mikowski and took it all the way back, which probably would have won the game, and they called this ridiculous penalty on him. I still don't see how they could have called him offsides, but that was crazy. And then the other one is he got 4.5 sacks during the playoffs in '89, including in the Super Bowl, and remember that standing out against the Broncos. Just a very solid player. The way the Niners ran defense was they utilized everybody. George Seifert, had a first down team, a second down team, and that so on and so forth. And so he was a part of that. And so I know that you probably have other memories of him. Would you like to share one or two?
You know what? One, him, being older than I, just the fact that he, accepted me in and just was, being on the opposite side of the ball, the old culture of the 49ers, but this culture, but you had your one or two, that we talked about before that, just made it almost a disaster for many people. And, with Charles Haley and his bipolar and, Bill Romanowski. But Larry was one of those guys that, came across the line, to the offensive side and made me, feel very welcome and just was very nice, and, actually I share a story with you off the air, but, he in my young career as a rookie, he you know what? I shouldn't even brought it up if I was going to share the story, but it was something, man, that Larry came to me one day in training camp and shared with me that he didn't have to share with me. That really was very impact with my personal life that really helped me out a lot, my man. So, but anyway, once again, why do you share part of something and not share it all? But you know what? Who knows? Maybe it'll be in a book one day.
Absolutely. You know, you bring up something that I was hoping that we could talk about a little bit. You know, as a very young player, you know, you talk about your rookie season or your first couple of seasons. You know, those were important for you because you were asked to be a starter for half of the '90 season and also part of the '91 season after Roger Craig moved on. You know, the question that I have is, how important was it for you? And how important is it for young players to have somebody come alongside them and to just really help make them feel welcome, take them under their wing, and teach them some stuff? What does that do for a young player?
One is something that I think helps a young player because every league that you whether it's high school to college, which is a transition, and college to the NFL, which is a huge transition. How smooth that transition is has a lot to do with some guys that are already there. And a lot of times, you know, young players, you know, may not get that, but it's very, very important. And, you know, it soothes my transition. You know, I believe I told a story one time, you know, about the acceptance I got from running live at a certain point. You know, not right. That he was rude or anything like that. You know, but when I came in as a rookie, especially the first round draft pick, you know, wasn't a whole lot of hazing or anything like that because the 49ers didn't allow that. But you're still going to be, you know, picked on in a good way. Some picked on in a bad way for others during, you know, your rookie campaign. And for me, working my way up to second team, I think gained some respect from the players, but not until, you know, Roger Craig actually got hurt around game 7 approximately, where I had to actually start, because I don't think anybody saw the 49ers drafted me to be a starter anyway, getting 170 pounds, you know, but I'm hoping because of my work ethic and my athletic ability, being able to work my way up to second team in training camp and then start and lead the team in rushing my rookie year, I think that gained a lot of respect, you know, from a lot of, hopefully the whole team and surely the coaches, but run it live, you know, after we played the Rams on Monday Night Football, and I ended up with 124 carries on 124 yards on 13 carries, you know, was the first time that next week that, you know, running actually talked to me, you know, but Roger Craig was one of those that just pulled me in from the beginning and just groomed me and showed me the way. So that had a lot to do with how comfortable I felt in that meeting room, you know, and teaching me, you know, how to do certain things on the field, showing me that, you know, although we were competitors, you know, he was going to, you know, share with me what someone evidently had shared with him, you know, on the transition and how to adapt. So that's very, very, very important. If you don't have someone like that when you come into the league, you know, it can make, you know, the transition very, very difficult.
No doubt. It sounds like rookies can probably develop faster and better if they've got acceptance, someone alongside them to teach them how to be a student. I remember hearing Keena Turner, former 49er linebacker, talk about how when he came in the league in the early 80s, he just didn't see the need or why the classroom was so... You know, you're just a football player. You go out and you play football. What do we have to spend all this time in the classroom? And it wasn't until Hacksaw Reynolds taught him the importance of being a student of the game. And so, you know, I know that you got to have someone come alongside you sometimes and teach you how to do better in the film room, how to do better in the team meetings. And so it seems like if you can get those things, you can develop faster and better as a young player.
Absolutely, because one, especially when I say a first rounder for sure, certain expectations are put upon you, and a lot of the learning process, majority of it is in the classroom. So it's not just watching film; it's how you watch film, things that you pick up, to give you an advantage when you step on the field. And somebody has to teach you that. You don't know what you don't know. And man, I tell you what, I told Roger Craig this every time I see him. I thank him for his mentorship, because he definitely put me in a position when he went down to walk in seamlessly. I keep mentioning 170 pounds, but it's not easy to do, in the NFL at 170 pounds, to get in there and start at running back. So, again, thanks to Roger Craig, for helping me be able to do that.
Oh, no question. I really hope it's a big push to get him in the Hall of Fame this year, so I'm hoping he makes it. But yeah,
oh man, yeah,
that would be really great. Cause, he even talked about. We had him on our show last year, and he even talked about when he came in the league. Coming out of Nebraska in 1983. He didn't really know why he was drafted, and then people told him, teammates told him, "We drafted you so that you could help us win more Super Bowls," and that really changed his whole outlook as a young player. So it just seems to be so important. Besides Dexter or Roger, was there anybody else early in your career that really helped you out?
You know what? From a help perspective, it's got to be somebody within your segment. Your group, your running back group, your linebacker group, because they're around you the majority of the day. They're around you, majority of the time when you're at the facility on the practice field. So, again, Buck Craig was great. Harris Sidney was good. Tom Ralphman, those guys that were in that running back room. Keith Henderson, we had a good relationship. So that allowed me, when Amp Lee and Ricky Waters, came in, that allowed me to, because I would have helped them out anyway, but it allowed the professionalism, and the way you teach, to filter down to those guys. But there were other guys at other positions that were kind. I use the word kind because they, if they chose to not be kind, that they could do that. But really, it was just not having a relationship with you, But for example, Joe Montana. Now, Mike Holmgren had a decision to make when Roger went down.
Right. And
I am very sure, and I know he could put in Joe. And Joe's locker was right beside mine at the facility. And, and I just gained a relationship with him, from a conversation perspective. And what he, over those first 7 or 8 weeks of the season, when the offense coordinator consults with the starting quarterback on, hey, where do we go from here? For him to give his thumbs up that he thought my preparation and my ability had put me in position to start and not have a drop off from Roger Craig. Now, to me, whether you go have dinner with Joe Montana or you don't, there was enough of that relationship where, the NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, that his confidence and faith in me, to be able to take Roger's place for the time that he was out.
Right, and that's to get confidence from a guy like Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott and the players that you played with just had to be just huge for you in those first 1 or 2 seasons of your career.
Yeah. I wish I could shout it to the world, what it meant to me. But I think those that know the history of the 49ers and realize the impact that we all had in whichever area and how long we had it there with the 49ers, as long as, they understand, that impact, is wonderful to me. And all of that came to ahead for me, in 1996 when, which was the 50th anniversary of the 49ers organization. And as a family, the organization, the media, picking, a 50th anniversary all-time team, to be on that team as a return specialist with those guys like Joe Montana, quarterback, and Ronnie Lott in the secondary, really means a lot. And that's one of those things that, nobody can ever, take away.
Oh, no doubt. That's a big honor, and that had to feel pretty special. And being a part of, a team in the 90s, the transitional part of the history, and still being able to, get past Dallas and get a Super Bowl championship of your own. I mean, that's fantastic. And I know as a fan, I'm sure it was great to watch.
Yeah. As a former player, to walk out of there with, at least something that no one could ever take away, that Super Bowl ring, and also to have a commemorative ring from that all-time team, for them to present, all of us that was selected on the all-time team, with that ring, really special and means a lot too.
No doubt about it. That's one of the things I was thinking about, as, you look at the team right now, you look at the things that are going on, especially after Sunday's loss against the Bears. I mean, that was about as low of a moment as you could probably have. Coming off a pretty close game, the offense seemed like it was starting to come together, and then to have the performance that they had on Sunday, I got to thinking about the amount of young players that are on the team, and I think one of the things that really needs to be addressed is veteran leadership, and being able to take some of these younger guys under their wing and teach them the way, not just the way you play professional football, because I'm sure a lot of these guys, they're learning. Some of these guys have been in the league for a few years, so they some of them already know. But the team in general is very, very young, and it seems like it needs good veteran leadership to lift some of these guys up into what they can be.
Yeah, and you know what the 49ers unfortunately don't have this year is what I always look at high schools. When you have seniors that have been through the program, those seniors are really the ones that coach your team. They're the ones that lead by example, and they lead by teaching actual hands-on. And those freshmen and those sophomores learn from those seniors. So when those seniors are gone, now you got those juniors that are moved up that's repeating the process. And that's what keeps you competitive. What I see in the 49ers is there's nobody on offense who you can name that have gone through the great times. Now, there's Cap, but then you look at Cap, who was demoted. So he's gone through a few years of not being the Cap of the Harbaugh days.
Yeah.
Okay? So you don't have anybody who is solidified, not at the running back position, not at the quarterback position. On the offensive line, is it Stanley?
Stanley. Yep.
He's the one guy that hopefully, those young guys are looking and learning from him. But you know what? That's one out of, even the receiver position.
Yeah.
Anquan came in, but he didn't have a longevity with 49ers to where, the baton was passed. Right. Now, they could have watched his work ethic and watched, his, how the man worked. But still, though, that offense lost something along the way, be it with, coaching leaving, whether it was positions leaving, but there's nobody in that leadership position that passes the baton down, okay, other than that offensive line. On defense, they had it, but Willis retired, and then the next great linebacker got hurt.
Right.
So although, his face is around the organization and the facility, it's still hard when you have one player after the next that are starters and good players falling by unfortunate injuries, So it's like really there's nothing there in that facility that, where the torch is just being passed and there's an accountability and an expectation. Everybody's looking at the former Super Bowl and just saying, hey, or the hardball for, the 30 NFC Championship games, but that's about it. You're looking at what has been accomplished as what's going to help the younger players get there. But a lot of times, it's going to have to get back started, one, with the guys staying healthy and creating, in reality, their own history within a great history. That's what's going to have to happen. But health, unfortunately, is going to have to be the first thing, health and talent. Because, unfortunately, I don't care how good of a coaching you have, injuries will make you look like a terrible coach. So it's a lot of things this offseason has got to happen that hopefully will change the direction of the organization in which it's going.
No doubt about it. You bring up a lot of valid points. There's just not a lot of veteran leadership going on right now, but in what was there is largely injured. So it just makes it so much harder. So hopefully, like you say, in the off season, they can be another influx of talent. I'm hoping for, a couple of veterans to come in free agency, maybe a few veterans. And then obviously, like you said, the number one thing is, they got to stay healthy. You can have veterans, but if they're not out there and healthy, it doesn't do them a lot of good. So hopefully, some things can change in the off season to start moving the team to where it needs to go. Because the rest of the way, after the performance against the Bears, there's not a lot of confidence leading into the Jets game, and we're down to 3 games left, or 3 or 4 games left, and so it's there's not much really to look forward to. You just kind of hope maybe 1 or 2 young guys play well and emerge that can be competitive for next year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I guess creates optimism, is that there's been so many injuries that there's got to be some young player whom this experience that they're getting will create incredible depth for the team as it moves forward. But only time will tell.
Yep, no doubt about it. I'm hoping to see some increased playing time for a couple of these running backs. Obviously I want to see Hyde get his reps, but I like to see a couple of these other running backs get some opportunities. Like to see some of the younger guys in the secondary and in the defense get even more chances just to see what they got there. So I'm hoping to see some depth for next year, and I'd like to see them be competitive, but obviously I don't think there's too many fans that would be upset if they went 1-15 at this point, just because of the draft positioning. But yeah, I'd really like to see some veterans come in and help a lot of these young guys out, and like you say, pass the baton, pass the torch, and just being able to transfer their experience and the good things that they know to do to some of these young guys would be really great.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we can look forward to. But going into this here game, a lot of the outcome is going to depend on who plays quarterback for the Jets. So, because as a team, they should come into Levi Stadium and leave with a victory. But again, we all know how important the quarterback position is. There is enough talent at receiver, and if Cap, gets heated, the 49ers cannot score the Jets. So there is a reason to sit in the stands and watch the game on TV if you're not close, and see and hope for a positive outcome for the 49ers.
Right. Do you see how do you see this all shaking out for Colin Kaepernick? And if he plays pretty well, do you see them bringing him back? Do you think that he'll test out free agency? I mean, it's all, we all know it's all a guess at this point. But if you were going to take a guess, what do you think would happen?
Oh, you know what? With everything that's happened, it's really hard to say. I would like to see Cap back because we've seen the progression he was having, prior to the incredible snowy day in Chicago. But there's not a whole lot anybody can do. The game is set in the snow. You got to play it in the snow, and it is what it is. So I don't care who was that quarterback, most likely, without a real strong running game, wasn't going to be a whole lot of success in the air. So, eliminating that game, I think Cap's performance, showed that he's still a talented quarterback that, is making enough progression, that you can see him getting back to his old form. So I think even if they draft another quarterback, I would like to see Cap back personally.
Sure. Yeah, I could see this going really either way. Like you say, it's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, he's shown enough in this offense that he can be successful. Obviously, I think they do have to draft one regardless of whatever their decision is. They got to have a young guy in there that they're bringing up and at least be competitive with him. The only other thing is if he doesn't do well this game against the Jets, do they give Christian Ponder a chance?
You know what? I don't think so. I mean, Christian has incredible amount of talent, and I think he is one quarterback that will be prepared. So I think he'll take advantage of the moment and the opportunity. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I would like to see Cap continue to develop back into what he can be. Unfortunate that sacrifices, Ponder from getting an opportunity to play, then that unfortunately happens. But if Ponder got the opportunity, I think, he would definitely, he may not be the future starter for the team, but I do think, you're going to see a well-prepared, backup.
Right. Well, as we get ready to sign off for the day, what do you is Florida State playing this weekend?
No. Their next game is the Orange Bowl against Michigan.
Right. Okay. So that's right. That's the
New.
Okay.
Yeah, the Orange Bowl, December 30th. So that's gonna be a really good game.
No question. I know. I try to pay attention a little bit to the Florida State. I know you're Seminole, and that's a big deal. And so I figured you'd be, when you're not watching the 49ers or the NFL, you're definitely paying attention to college and Florida State, and also with your son.
Yeah. And one thing pertaining to Florida State, I was really, really surprised that Davin Cook didn't get invited to the Heisman. I thought he performed well enough to where he may not win it, or probably won't win it, because I think that's Lamar Jackson. I think that's his name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
But Davin surely should have been invited. But all the guys are worthy of being invited. But what Davin, has done as a complete back, I think he should have had the experience of going to New York. But it is what it is. I can tell you, meeting the young man, this is not bothering him the least. And, he's going to go and have an incredible game there in his hometown of Miami and show, all the NFL teams that's drafting in the top 10 that, if you don't get a quarterback, you better jump on him, But I tell you, what's interesting is the 49ers as we move forward. They should draft a quarterback, and there's one early on that I think they can make a great decision if they go quarterback. Because I think defensively, the 49ers are going to, I really think, man, when they get their healthy guys back, they're going to be all right on the interior line and the linebackers. They could still go out there and really get a playmaking difference maker or a difference maker at, in the secondary, mainly at that corner position, but dang, do you pass up, that quarterback and potentially a Davin, Cook to get that corner, but again, we're not that far away on the defensive side, so it's going to be an interesting decision. But again, that's why all those guys in that front office, get paid to evaluate and make an educated guess, on who do we go with. Because nobody's going to be completely happy, with anything that a team selects to do. But
right.
At least there's very, very good options, wherever the 49ers draft in that top 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some great players that are going to be available, especially in the first round, and hopefully they find a number of other players, in all of the rounds. So you hope they can bring in the most amount of talent as possible. Like you say, they get paid to evaluate this talent, so hopefully they can find some more guys that can contribute to the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, as always, always great to talk 49ers with you, Dexter, and everyone, be sure to check out The Grueling Truth. There'll be more 49er material out there for all the Niner faithful out there, and so be sure to check that out. Feel free to tweet at Grueling Truth if there's anything that you'd like to see written or talked about on the show, and we'll be sure to address it. So, any final words?
No, I look forward to being back on the show next week and taking any questions that you guys may want to put forward to us between now and then.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening, and as always, be sure to check out thegruelingtruth.net and the Facebook page, and also on Twitter. And so, for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, where the legends speak.